Okay, I've got a question. What does a logging company, an oddly specific diner order, and a lone wolf have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in, guys, Hallmark's first and maybe its most beloved Christmas movie from all the way back in 2006, 20 years old now. The Christmas Card. This one is a long time coming for our podcast, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about, Jennifer.
We do, Josh. You don't want to miss it on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
If you like holiday movies from the classics and newbies, let's sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh. Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
You guys have been clamoring for us to watch and talk about this movie, and believe it or not, Josh and I have seen hundreds of these movies, but we've never seen this one. And it comes up in a regular basis on the Facebook forums, on social media. What's the best movie of all time? Hallmark Christmas movie. It's The Christmas Card. When is The Christmas Card coming on this year? Had you owned the DVD of The Christmas Card? We have no choice but to cover it. But let me tell you, 'twas not an easy feat to watch this movie. I tried, I think, 4 times. The first time I tried, I found a YouTube video and it was all backwards. The entire video was bootleg backwards. I was like, well, that's not gonna work. The second time I downloaded some, like, you know how if you have a smart TV, it'll download, not Tubi, but it's like there's all these others. Oh, it's free on such and such. It was one I'd never heard of. Downloaded it, went to watch it. It was all in Spanish only, not my fluent language. The third time, what was the issue with the third time? I don't know. I had issues. And then the fourth time was the charm. I finally found it in a clear vision on YouTube. It's still bootleg because, oh, wait, duh, Hallmark Plus. That was my first attempt. Hallmark Plus doesn't have it.
Which is bizarre. Yeah, this is one of those where we've been doing this podcast now 4 years and change. And really, since we started this podcast and started engaging with our listeners, Jennifer, everyone's been asking, when are you guys going to do the Christmas Card? It comes up consistently. This is certainly something I was excited to watch because I wanted to know, with a fresh pair of eyes, is the hype of this movie warranted? So here is the plot synopsis. Jennifer's going to lead the deep dive, and we'll be back to tell you at the end in our Gold or Coal segment if we think it's worth the watch. A U.S. soldier visits the town from where an inspirational Christmas card was sent to him by a church group that mails cards out to service members as a goodwill effort. So a military theme, Christmas, small town, townies. I'm here for it. Let's go.
We begin with our leading lady, Faith, and she's writing a note to a service member in the Army. And she's talking about her great family, and she loves her home. Turns out their church does Operation Christmas Card every year. She seals the card and sends it off. Cut to the Army base, and we meet our leading man, Sergeant Cody Cullen. And his cohorts are singing carols and wearing Santa hats, and they're all in the merriment. He's not as holly and jolly as they are, but they open the cards, which turns out came from his friend's church back home. And what do you know? Cody gets Faith's card, and he's moved. The next day, their team gets bombed. We are 6 minutes into this movie, and there is not a brief moment of peril, as we say on the podcast. There's a major moment of peril because there's explosions, and Cody's friend, who lived in the town where the cards came from, he died 6 minutes in. Couldn't believe it. We get a flag flying at half staff, and Cody's boss says, hey, Cody, it wasn't your fault. And why don't you take some time off and take the friend's dog tags back to the friend's fiance back home, which I guess is in this town as well, presumably, or close to it. Right?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about the first 6 minutes, Josh?
I was seated. It was one of those where it just felt so well done. Not to show my cards too early. It just felt like storytelling. It felt, felt like vintage Hallmark. And I loved it
Well,
for that.
good. It should.
Yeah.
Cody rides his motorcycle to the fiance's house and gives her the dog tags, and they have a very touching moment. And then he rides to the local watering hole and places a very specific food order at the diner. And he places the order. He goes to the restroom. Faith walks in, our leading lady, and is like, "Oh, great, my order's here. I thought I ordered it to go, but whatever." She starts eating the fries because she orders this exact same crazy order. It sounded really gross, but what are the odds? Then Cody comes out and he's like, "Hey, girl, you're eating my food." Now, oddly enough, we covered a movie this past Christmas season of 2025, A Sweet Holiday Romance, where they kind of did the same bit that she was eating his food. And I want to believe that A Sweet Holiday Romance was giving a nod to the Christmas card. That's what I'm going to tell myself.
Go for it. I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Cody goes to church the day with his motorcycle helmet in hand. And I have to ask, did Cody ride so that Tyler Hines could run?
I was wondering the same thing. I was like, is this the precursor to the Tyler Hines on the motorcycle thing? You know,
I want to believe it.
I want to believe it. Exactly.
He meets the owner of the local inn who invited him to church along with Ed Asner. Just so you know, the rest of the time, I'm just going to call him Ed. I know he had a character name. I don't care what it was. Okay. He would always be Ed Asner. He is a legend. And I had forgotten that he was in this movie. And I was just tickled pink to see Ed. Ed and his wife own the logging company, and Faith is their daughter. So we figured all that out in the church sanctuary. And I hate when churches do this because I've been a new visitor at church before. But the pastor's like, "If you're new here, stand up. Come on, everybody." And then he won't just like let it go. He just insists that you stand up. And Cody's like awkwardly like trepidation standing. He gives me the ick. For all of our pastors listening, please don't make people do that. It's awkward. Anywho, Cody leaves the church and Ed goes running out of the church after him to talk to him. A car comes speeding down Main Street, USA here. Cody tackles Ed to get him out of the way, and they both tumble to the ground, nearly being crushed by a vehicle. We're at minute 17, y'all. We've had 2 major moments of peril.
And boy, when I tell you that they hadn't quite figured out how to play the music in a Hallmark movie to really shape the emotion. There's music playing the entire time. And it just sort of goes from like light and soft to really serious. And boy, they really want you to feel the seriousness of this moment.
I did. I was worried about it. I was like, if they kill off Ed Asner, so help me, I'm turning this movie off and I will just sit like this the whole time.
Burn it down. Yeah, no, but thankfully they did not. They did not.
Spoiler alert, Ed's okay. He's just got his arm in a sling because Cody's the hero and he saved him. All right. So they invite Cody to stay a little longer in town at their cabin, Ed and his wife and Faith. This place, this cabin is so cozy. He parks his bike outside in the garage next to a Santa sleigh. And I went, okay, is Ed Asner Santa? More to come. He's not. Faith gets Cody settled into his room at their place, and he pulls out his Christmas card with Ed and his wife sitting in that same sleigh on the outside of it. She had glued a little photo of it on the outside. So at this point, Cody has figured out that they are who they are, but he has not revealed to them that he was the recipient of the card. Cody and Ed chat in the garage, and he reveals that his dad passed away in Vietnam, and his mom passed away when he was in high school. So he's kind of a lone wolf. He's, been an army brat and just kind of making friends as he goes and doesn't really have roots or a home anywhere. Ed asks him to stay and help out at the mill around the holidays. They could use some extra help because his arm's in a sling, except he takes the sling off. That thing's not going to heal right, Ed.
No.
But Cody agrees, but not you can't pay me. I need you to just, maybe give me some room and board. And they shake on it and all is good. Cody tells Ed that Faith brought him to this town with the card. So he reveals that. But Faith, she did, but also the fiance dog tags brought him to the town, right?
Yes.
He came to deliver the dog tags, and yes, also, great, it's the same town too.
Yeah, he was just going to stay the night and carry on. And then the woman at the inn invited him to church where he met Ed and that family and et cetera, et cetera.
All right. We go back inside the cabin. Uncle Richard comes barreling into the home, and I wrote, I'm annoyed with him already. My feelings about Uncle Richard evolved. But immediately I was like, oh, he's obnoxious. We're not supposed to like him because he was very boisterous, very loud. We get a touching moment of Ed praying over their meal, and then the family goes out back to toss the old pigskin around. And it was super cute, super precious. That night, Cody sees Faith writing more Christmas cards. She's like, yeah, I've already sent the ones off to the army. These are just kind of friends and family cards. He tells her how important that was to him that he got a card and how she says she longs to have a love like her parents. Cody's off on his bike to the Spellman logging mill, and Faith gives Cody a tour of the property because the whole family works here. It is where her parents got engaged and married on the property after Ed returned from Vietnam. And she shows him this overlook, like this beautiful wooded overlook, which is where Ed proposed to his wife. And also, it's where they got married, which is an important place to their family. It's beautiful, and it might come back up later. Who knows? Stay tuned. What are you thinking at this point in the movie, Josh?
Ooh, I think that they are doing a really good job of making us fall in love with the right people. They are pulling all of the heartstrings in a way that I was here for.
Mm-hmm. Well, that might change because then we meet Paul.
Paul.
You know who Paul is? Paul is Faith's very long distance boyfriend, and he pulls up in a suit and a fancy car. And I wrote, oh. You can tell Ed can't stand this man, which is hilarious. Paul looks like a younger, somehow version of Tom Hanks.
I could see that. Yeah. It's clear that he is not as Hallmark handsome as the other guy.
Well, no, and he might have money. Is that enough?
Is that enough? Yes.
So Paul is jealous from jump. He doesn't like that Cody's staying with them. And I quote, he says, there are some twisted freaks in the army.
Sir. Absolutely not, sir.
How dare you? Paul wouldn't last one day in the army.
No way.
I couldn't believe they said it.
Yeah, did not like him.
So Paul and Faith are making out on the couch sloppily. There is spittle galore, and their couch is right by the front door, and her parents bust in because it's their house, and it's like, it looked like a couple teenagers that got caught. It was super weird. So since Paul's business is wine, he makes them all have a wine tasting, and none of them are super invested. Like, they don't really have a refined palate. They're not tasting the tannins and the notes of different things here and there. They're just kind of like popping whatever he said, right, to sort of be pleasant. But it was very funny. Cut to back to the mill. Cody basically runs the mill at this point. Okay, he is just moving up the log ladder pretty quickly. Cody and Ed take pizza to the girls at the church who are working on care packages to send out. Paul's not there because he's out of town on business, but he'll be back when he can. Oh joy, I can't wait for more Paul. It's a big day in the family. It's Christmas tree cutting day, and Paul was volunteered to help too. He was probably voluntold, let's be real. So it's going to be Uncle Richard, Cody, and Paul going out into the woods to chop down all these trees. They go out. Paul gets a work call on his cell phone, and Uncle Richard and Cody do all the work over the next 2 hours. Paul couldn't be bothered. He was on a 2-hour phone call. Sir, typical Paul. Then he had the nerve to act like his shoulder or his neck were sore.
And
like he pulled a muscle on his phone. Was he holding the phone like this between his shoulder and his head? That's the only reason it should be sore.
And this was the moment that made me hate Paul the most in this entire thing. When they get back from cutting down all the Christmas tree, he hasn't done one lick of work, but boy, he sits on the tailgate of that pickup truck and tries to pretend for Faith that he's all sore because of working hard. Oh, the dishonesty. Did not like.
Blimey, the nerve.
Mm-mm.
So he does go out and he buys some winter clothing that is needed for the care packages. Okay, that's nice, except Cody also brings winter clothing to the church for the care packages, and Cody gets way more praise from everybody than Paul did, and Paul pouts off.
So pouty. Yeah, he storms off, disappears every time he gets upset. Child.
Man.
He is a child.
Oh, disgusting. Back at the mill, Cody is learning how to count boards before they're sent out for delivery. It involves a dot system that Faith is like super excited about. She double checks, and counting dots is basically her love language, right? Uncle Richard and Cody work on an after hours secret Christmas project, and I wonder what that could be. Spoiler alert, my theory was wrong. What it was.
I was wrong too, for what it's worth. Yes.
All right, it's time for the Christmas dance in the Veterans Hall. And Ed's like, come on, Cody, you got to come. Faith dances with Paul. Ugh, Paul. And then Uncle Richard pays off an older lady to intercept and dance with Paul so that Faith and Cody can dance together. And boy, do they dance. It is steamy.
It is steamy. I had to laugh because the woman that the uncle got to do it, she made him pay her more than he originally offered. He's like, for Paul, you're going to have to pony up more than that.
Yeah, buddy, like, poor Paul. But so I wrote Wingman Richard.
Right?
So obviously, my tide had turned very quickly over Uncle Richard. He's one of my favorite characters. I was afraid he's going to be like the annoying uncle. So I was wrong. I can admit. Paul, of course, sees this intimate dance and kind of rightly gets jealous. I mean, if your longtime girlfriend was dancing with the hot new hunk in town that close, I'm assuming anybody would feel some type of way. And he has a furrowed brow, and Uncle Richard says, the greatest things happen when you're dancing, which is a direct line from a song in the beloved Christmas movie, White Christmas. Right, Josh?
It is. The line is actually the best things happen when you're dancing, but I'll let it slide.
Did he say the greatest or the best?
He said the greatest things happen when you're dancing. And I was like, I know what you're trying to do there, and I appreciate it. But the line is actually the best things happen when you're dancing. Things that you would not do at home come naturally on the floor. For dancing soon becomes romancing. I could go on, but I won't.
I'm sure we'll cover White Christmas at some point on the podcast. It might also because we have differing views on that. But I appreciated the wink and the nod nonetheless. All the wine broker is at a meeting. By engagement ring. Oh no. It's like that sound clip on TikTok.
Oh no.
Faith says yes. He'll move her away from her family and they can travel the world. Now, Paul was supposed to sell Christmas trees at the lot and he's nowhere to be found because he's buying an engagement ring. So what do you know? Cody steps in and Faith and Cody are selling trees left and right. They chit chat and she gets him a gift, a Polaroid camera. Why did she get him a Polaroid camera? Do we know?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Like, I don't think he mentioned it, but maybe he did. I think she just kind of said, I want you to remember this holiday or something. So there's lots of 2006 winding or not Polaroid, disposable.
Yeah.
Excuse me, disposable camera.
With that little thumb wheel that you just scroll. So funny.
Yep. Love it. Okay, so Paul shows up late, sees them goofing around, taking pictures and selfies together, and of course he's not happy. The next day, they're chatting at her parents' special spot. This is Faith and Cody. Faith trips and falls on top of Cody, and they kiss big time. Big old kiss. Big old smooch o'clock in the wilderness here. And I thought to myself, I'm never pro cheating on your significant other, except in Hallmark movies.
Except when it makes sense.
Because you have to think, again, this was the first time. This wasn't a trope yet. This was the first time. It was the first, she's with the wrong guy. It was the first, I'm going to trip and fall onto your face and kiss you. You know, here we are.
The first meet cute. Yeah. Historic moments. Yes.
Very much so. So obviously she freaks out and runs off. She confesses to her mom what she's done and mom calls it a brief lapse of judgment, but Faith isn't so sure and maybe it was. Uncle Richard walks in on Faith crying. He's like, something's up. And then he's like, Cody, something's up. And Cody finally tells him that he kissed Faith. And then Uncle Richard tells Ed, and Ed is tickled pink about it. If this could work out, he would be just as happy as a pigeon with a french fry or whatever that phrase is, right? At the cabin, they're making cookies because we had to throw more Christmas in here. I think at this point, I do think there's always been notes like, we need more Christmas in.
Turn the dial, ramp it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On their little speakers, they get on and talk about it. And so they're making cookies, and Paul shows up and gives Faith a stuffed moose. And she's like, thanks, and just sits it. It's not like her favorite animal was a moose that we know of. There was no emotional significance to it. Just, okay. He wants to whisk her away to dinner. Ed tells Cody how much they love him and that soldiers need someone to come back to. And Cody's basically like, yeah, I'm probably going to peace out pretty soon. Ed doesn't like it. Also, sidebar, it rains a lot in this movie. A whole lot of rain.
Exactly. It's like they had a limited window and they just had to take what
Yeah. And at one point, I swear I thought it was raining, but they made it look like snow. I don't know. So Paul takes Faith to a wine bar for dinner, of course, because his personality is wine. And he bought out the place and proposed. I wrote villain. He's a villain. Run.
get away.
But
Yeah.
Faith immediately says yes. He says, hey, we can spend the rest of our lives traveling the world. She tells Cody the next morning about the engagement, and he says he's happy for her, and he walks off being the bigger man. She's starting to question this engagement since Paul wants her to move. Yeah, you think? And they haven't even talked about any of that stuff yet, even though they've been together forever, long distance. Faith's car won't start, and Paul is missing in action, of course. Faith calls Ed, and Ed is on the sleigh with his wife touring their property, which is so cute. And he's like, I won't go pick her up. Cody, why don't you go? And here's her favorite blanket to take with you. So Cody takes the sleigh. Off he goes, galloping to Faith. I don't know how far away the mill is. Hopefully not far. And they romantically sleigh back to the house. And she ends up giving Cody her favorite blanket and apologizes for kissing him. And he says, I regret nothing. Boop, boop. All right, it's Christmas Eve church service. Cody tells Paul, because they kind of run into each other going into the service. He's like, hey, I love Faith, but I hope you, Paul, are doing everything for the right reason. Paul catches on that Faith keeps looking around in the church service and the sanctuary to see if Cody is around. And then Paul gets offended and walks out because that's what he does. He just pouts and walks out. Faith goes after him and says, I'm sorry, and she gives him the ring back. Cody rides away Christmas morning before they get up on his motorcycle. Turns out he left a card and a map in the house, and it says if they follow the map, they will find their Christmas present. The family all rolls up to the lookout, Ed and his wife's favorite spot, and he has built them a wooden bench overlooking the spot, and it's engraved, and it says where the magic begins. And then there's an envelope on the bench, and it's the original Christmas card that Faith had sent to Cody and a new one. He printed one of the disposable camera photos from the Christmas tree lot and wrote a sweet note inside. And she's like, I have to find him. And Ed's like, I bet I know where he is. And so there's another overlook that is for those lost in Vietnam. It's like a memorial. And here comes Faith, and she's sashaying down a very steep staircase with a styrofoam container to go thing. She brings his diner order and then yells at him for leaving. And then they kiss.
It's time for gold or coal.
Okay, it's time for our Gold or Coal segment. If you're new to the podcast, this is how Jennifer and I tell you if we think it's worth the watch. So we each are going to give 3 gifts. If it's something we liked, it's gold. If it's something we didn't care for, it's coal. And if there's more gold in the total, we're going to call it Hallmark Gold Crown Card. If there's more coal, it's just a text greeting. And if it's a tie 3-3, it's just a meh. Merry Christmas, Jennifer. This is a long time coming. Let's get down to it. What do you think about the Christmas card? Go.
It's a lot of pressure. Weight of all of our millions of listeners upon. My first gift is gold for Paul because he is such a great villain. He is the perfect gross boyfriend that we just want her to see the light and end things with him. And he played it so well. And really, Paul didn't do anything wrong. Like, he wasn't overly offensive. He was just Paul and just didn't really get it. He just wasn't bought in with this family, this close-knit family, and he just wasn't a good fit. So I think he was a fun villain to root against.
Agreed. I will similarly start with gold. Ed Asner. We talk a lot about meddling parents on this podcast. This is meddling dad done perfectly. Chef's kiss. It just could not have been any better because it's so endearing. It's from this place of love. I'll tell you, my favorite moment with Ed Asner isn't with his daughter Faith. It's with the guy. When he's going to leave town, they have this moment where they're sitting on the sidewalk. And of course, he had saved his life earlier. And so Ed Asner extends a hand, Army veteran to Army veteran, and says, thanks for saving my life. And he says back to Ed Asner, no, thanks for saving mine. And I was just like, oh, That's a gut punch right there because you really saw just how transformative this whole experience was for the two of them. So gold for Ed Asner.
Yeah, you took one of mine. I will give some gold. The whole movie is so warm and cozy and welcoming. Not just the set deck, but just everything about it just felt like home. You know, it felt like a little Hallmark home. And I really appreciated too the way the wardrobe that these characters had. It wasn't the full Hallmark queen blowout red peacoat sassy city girl. You know, it was attainable. These people were all beautiful, but she was in a red puffer coat because she's working on a log mill. Like, you know, it was more accessible and just really down to earth and felt just like a hug. It was a little hug.
Yeah. I am going to give gold. I loved this gesture with the bench at the magic spot, and we saw little vignettes. They just kind of spliced him in every now and again, him working late at night on this project, and you didn't know what it was, and you didn't know what it was, and just kind of kept you going until the very end where you had the big payoff and the big reveal on Christmas morning. And I just thought that it was something that really spoke to his character's integrity and his character's appreciation of the family and their traditions. And it was a symbol of gratitude. And I just bought it hook, line, and sinker. I thought it was great.
My last gift is gold. I like their banter. I wish we'd had a little bit more time with them. I believe these crazy kids could work it out and be in it for the long haul. So I enjoyed seeing their love grow.
Same here. And my last gift is going to be, it's got to be gold. This movie just oozes Christmas, right? It just felt so, you said this earlier, felt so warm. It felt so intentional. It felt like I can now see why this is the benchmark that so many people measure other Hallmark Christmas movies by, right? I was skeptical coming in. I was like, this is 20 years old. It's going to feel like old Hallmark. And yes, it does. But I think this movie could still air in 2026 and still get a lot of people watching it and excited about it because there's something that's just very warm about the whole thing. It's rooted in family and tradition and small town life and simple gestures and love and kindness and service to country and all of these things that are so warm. You can't help but walk away from this not feeling something warm and fuzzy. And I think it's great for that reason. It's a timeless Christmas movie for me, I think.
I loved how much they incentivized or focused on giving back. There's the Operation Christmas card, there's the care packages at for the shelter and all of that. I feel like we could use more of that, and everybody could at the holidays. Loved it.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's a perfect score. Our first Christmas movie of 2026, not too shabby. We're gonna say it is Hallmark Gold Crown card, not a text grieving. Any last thoughts from you, Josh?
Yeah, I just, it's so nice to see a movie where you do have these tropes before they were tropes and they were just
Yeah.
storytelling devices. And I just think it's something where it's like you watch this, and I think it does kind of give you a context for how the genre came to be, right? This was obviously a gamble for Hallmark back in the day to do something like this and to now see what this has become for Hallmark Channel and this kind of subset of entertainment that people by the droves look forward to think about how it all started from this. I was even watching this and I was thinking, gosh, if you were an actor in this movie, this had to be something where it just kind of felt like, okay, it's just another acting gig and I'm doing this TV movie. But then to be able to say, no, I was in the very first Hallmark movie, that means something these days. And it's got to be just such a point of pride for these actors.
Hey, what you watching? Hey, what you watching?
I'll let you know. I have started binging. I don't know the official name. It's on FX. I think it's called Love Story, but it's the JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette love story, and it's a mini series. It's by Ryan Murphy. I thought it had all come out, so I was like, I'll just binge it. While my husband was out of town because it's not really something he would want to watch. No, we're only at episode like 6, and I think there's 3 more left to come out. So now I have to wait for a new episode every week. like a peasant. Like I might as well be chopping my own butter between episodes. Oh my.
It's very 2006 of you to have to wait for another week or two for another episode. My
Isn't
goodness.
it though? But I, of course, knew the headlines of their story. I didn't know many of the details. There's a lot of controversy of, how much of it is actually real. Take that for what it is. But I think it's an interesting and compelling thing that you can easily binge if you're looking to get into that. I've also gone down the Kennedy rabbit hole now. So I've also lured my husband into watching a docu-series we found called The Kennedys. And so we're learning more about actual,
I love that.
documented things about the Kennedy family, and it's fascinating. Lots of interest there. Lots of things going on with the Kennedys.
Well, there you go. So for
Mhm.
what you're watching, I need our listeners' help. Honestly, Jennifer, I'm in search of a new show to binge. And let me tell
Mm.
you what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that's like a 22, 23-minute show that's in the same vein as Parks and Rec. So I really like mockumentary shows. So Parks and Rec, I've talked about Stumble on the podcast. I like St. Denis Medical from NBC. So like these sort of like slice of life mockumentary shows. So if our listeners, if you have something in that vein that you like, that you think I should watch for what you watching and just for enjoyment in general, leave us a comment and let me know what you think. I'm on the hunt.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. It's another Do You Watch What I Watch? Special thanks to Nick Schwartz, as always, for our theme song. And Josh, what are we talking about next time on the podcast?
Well, next time we are going to take a deep dive in the brand new show that's coming out on Hallmark, Hope Valley 1874. This is, of course, the precursor to When Calls the Heart. And this one follows Rebecca Clark, who travels from Chicago to the western Canadian frontier with her 11-year-old daughter, but must accept help from local rancher Tom Moore when her wagon breaks down. There is a lot of buzz around this one, and we're going to give it a go. The premiere episode to let you know what we think about it. Of course, this stars Benjamin Ayres, Bethany Joy Lenz, so some heavy hitters from the Hallmark universe making an appearance in this one. One thing is for sure, we will have much to discuss, but until we see you next time.
May your days be merry and bright. Bye, all.